The Walmart supervisor who fatally shot 6 coworkers at a store in Virginia bought the gun just hours before the killings and left a note on his phone accusing colleagues of mocking him. That information released Friday by investigators. Quote, "Sorry everyone, but I did not plan this. I promise things just fell in place like I was led by Satan." Police said the handgun used in Tuesday night's shooting was legally purchased that morning and that Bing had no criminal record. That suspect is identified as Andre Bing. Police released a copy of the note found on his phone that appeared to redact the names of people that he was mentioning. It's not clear when the note was written, but in it, Bing claimed he was harassed and said that he was pushed to the brink by a perception that his phone was hacked. I do want to bring in Fox 5 New York's Lizette Nunez to talk about the latest on that shooting. There is a lot to this, and obviously new information pretty much released on a daily basis at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. The Chesapeake Police Department has been pretty good and have been revealing those new details. And like you mentioned, the note is something that revealing new details on what possibly may have motivated this individual to carry out this attack. So in that note, he does appear to say that there was maybe possibly strained relationships with some of the coworkers that he was working with. He also mentioned that I think a colleague may have referred to him as Jeffrey Dahmer, which is obviously not good. In it also, he says that he was motivated by Satan. So that very revealing of what could have, led to this attack. But once again, Chesapeake Police, releasing those latest details. And I also want to get into a report that I did earlier this week, and then we also heard from some of those victims as well.
And my manager turned around and he just opened fire on everybody in the break room. I literally watched bodies drop.
An employee at a Walmart in Chesapeake, Virginia, describing the horrific moments as the shooting rampage unfolded inside the store. Police identified the gunman as 31-year-old Andre Bing, an overnight team leader who was with the company for 12 years. Investigators say Bing had called a meeting in the break room. As his team members gathered, that's when Bing allegedly opened fire at his coworkers. Some of the victims died in the break room. Another was found by the front door.
I can't believe somebody would have that much viciousness in their heart to shoot everybody like that.
A total of 7 people are dead, including Bing, who turned the gun on himself. Investigators got to the scene in minutes. By the time they were there, Bing was already dead and had a self-inflicted wound. Detectives say he was armed with a pistol and had multiple magazines. Police releasing the identities of the victims. The youngest, a 16-year-old. A small makeshift memorial continues to grow at the store's parking lot in honor of the victims.
It is by the grace of God that a bullet missed me.
A vehicle of interest was taped off at the parking lot. The FBI also searched the suspect's home for any clues on what led up to the shooting.
Yeah, so the question now relates to that 16-year-old. We do know that he has now been identified as well. In your story there, you did have the other 5 victims, but now we know the identity of that 16-year-old as well.
Yeah, so officials putting out his name now. His name is Fernando Chavez Baron, a 16-year-old. From reports we've been hearing that he actually just started working there recently, received his first paycheck. And I believe one outlet reporting that with his first paycheck, he actually ended up buying his mother a pair of AirPods. So we are continuing to learn more about these victims, what possibly the relationship was with the shooter. But unfortunately, very, very sad learning, especially the youngest, 16 years old, probably his first jobs, just started working. And obviously this all happening during the holidays, a time where people are supposed to be gathered and be happy. And unfortunately, these families are now planning the funerals of all of these individuals.
For sure. And at this point, that motive does still remain under investigation. We know the death note that police did release talks about him being harassed, his phone possibly being hacked. But at this point, no specific motive has been released. So there is so much left to figure out here.
Yeah, still very much an ongoing investigation. I think that note was revealing, but it's still not clear what exactly the motive was. We have heard from some of the employees that did survive that, there was some odd behaviors that they would notice from the manager, but once again, still not really clear what motivated this attack.
For sure. Well, Fox 5 New York's Lizette Nunez, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh.